Haaland has signed a 9.5-year deal, keeping him at the Etihad until 2034. And this deal is absolutely insane. But before we even go on to talk about the contract extension, please do like the video, especially if you're excited to see Haaland play in the Premier League for the next decade. But also comment your thoughts down below on this deal, and if you think it's some insight into the verdict of the 115 charges that Manchester City have been facing. And also, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers before April, and I think that's a very achievable goal, especially with all the support you guys have been showing the channel over the last month. I really do appreciate it. With all that being said, let's get into today's video and talk about Haaland's new 9.5-year deal. So Haaland has signed a 9.5-year deal with Manchester City, where we'll be earning £500,000 a week, and well, it sent rival fans into meltdown. And can you blame them, really? If I'm honest, I can't blame them, because what a player Erling Haaland has been. He's got 2 golden boots. He's only 1 goal behind Mo Salah in the Premier League golden boot race this season, and he also has more goals in the Premier League than Manchester City's former number 9, Gabriel Jesus, who is still an active Premier League player. That's how insane Erling Haaland has been for Manchester City. And he's going to continue to be just as good. And the fact that we've got him for 9.5 years, like now, it's crazy, because the rumour was, and the cope always was from rival fans, that Haaland would only be at City for 2 years because he was using him as a stepping stone to join Madrid. And well, we're 2 years on from City signing Haaland, and Real Madrid have Kylian Mbappe up top, and Manchester City have just signed Haaland down to a 9.5-year deal. So I guess the rumour wasn't true, and Haaland actually loves playing for City. And well, it's just great, isn't it? It really is great. And there are many different aspects of this deal that you need to look at. Obviously, one of them is he's signed for 9.5 years. So that must mean City are very, very confident in the verdict going in their favour for the 115 charges. Because if we were certain that we were going to lose and we were going to get relegated, players like Haaland wouldn't sign for 500k a week on 9.5 years. You know what I mean? They wouldn't do that. So it must be that looking like we're going to get a favourable outcome in that legal battle. And obviously, we can't be found innocent of every charge, because some of the charges are failing to cooperate with the investigation, which City did. There's no way around it. City did fail to cooperate with the investigation, and we were refusing to cooperate at points, right? So you'll be found guilty of that, and it'll be a fine for that. And so at minimum, we'll just be getting a fine for those, and obviously at maximum, we could be relegated, right? But it's looking ever more likely that we'll just be hit with a fine. And if that happens, all hell's going to break loose. All hell's going to break loose, because whether we're found guilty or not of the financial fair play stuff, everybody's already made up their minds. We're guilty. So, if we're found not guilty of those charges, all hell's going to break loose, and I'm just going to be sat there watching, because, well, it's going to be crazy out here. It's going to be crazy out here. But yeah, Haaland signing has some positives and has some negatives. I think the main negative, and I saw Darren Bent talking about this on Sky Sports, was that it's going to be difficult for City to sign a backup striker with Haaland at City for 9.5 years, because 9.5 years is a long time. Very, very long time. Some people's career only lasts 9.5 years at the top level. So 9.5 years is a very, very long time. And that would put off any striker wanting to sign for City, because they'd know they'd just be back up to Haaland, because it'd be very, very difficult and very, very expensive to get Haaland out of Manchester City, especially with his contract not running out anytime soon. So it's going to be very, very expensive to acquire Erling Haaland. And no matter how much and how good he plays, right, the money that it's going to cost to get him out of Manchester City, he'll be destined to flop at whatever team he joins, because he'll never be able to replicate his first season at Manchester City. And especially when he's going to cost like 200+ million, it's not worth the risk. It's really, really not worth the risk, is it? So Haaland looks to be at City for the foreseeable future until the end of his prime years, right? Who's going to want to sit and be back up to that and not be the star man at another club? It's going to be very, very difficult to sign a backup striker. But obviously, there are reports that the Mamouche deal is done, and he just needs to have a medical and be announced. And if that is the case, then we've just got to hope that Mamouche succeeds. And I think he will. Like I mentioned in my video on how I think Omar Mamouche could save our season. Click down below if you want to go watch that video. It's a great video, and I highly recommend it, obviously, because it was made by yours truly. But yeah, I reckon that Mamouche would be a success at Manchester City. But with this new Haaland deal, we need him to be a success. We can't have him flop and have to be in the market for another backup striker again, because no one's going to want to sign with Haaland on such a long contract, and you can't blame them, right? You can't blame them. But that's really the only negative I see coming from it. Yes, we're paying him £500,000 a week, but if any player deserves that money, it's him. It's him. He's outstanding. He's an outstanding player, right? And as we're coming into this new age City squad, he is going to be the man to keep us at that level. Obviously, we've got Rodri, we've got Foden, which are two other important players that are going to be essential to the City rebuild in the coming years. But Haaland's the man. Haaland will get you the goals. You're guaranteed goals with Haaland. And especially with Savinho and Doku still also being young, with them time, like plenty of time for them to develop partnerships with him, we could be unstoppable. We really, really could be unstoppable. You know, you've seen glimpses of Haaland and Foden linking up in the past. Obviously, it hasn't been the best this season, with obviously Foden only just finding form and Haaland being relatively out of form for the last few months. And obviously you've seen glimpses this season of Savinho and Haaland linking up well. You know, if you can just keep having that happen in the future and keep seeing those little chemistry duos and trios really come to life in the latter end of this season and next season, anything's possible. Anything really is possible. And the next era of City, with obviously Pep being here for at least 2 more years, I think these next 2 years will be his last 2 years. But the next era of City is promising. Even just in those 2 years, we've got some promising players. You know, I like watching McAtee. We've got Savinho, we've got Doku, we've got Foden. We've got Kusanov coming in. You know, we've got exciting players, and the future is still bright for City. Even with the verdict of the 115 charges coming up, and being able to tie Haaland down for so long, it's just incredible, really. It really is. And I also read that Haaland would need to score 18 goals in the next 7 Premier League seasons to break Alan Shearer's goal record for the most goals from a player in Premier League history. 18 goals in 7 seasons. He has 17 goals already this season, in a season where he's considered to be in bad form. 17. So he needs to get 1 more goal from now until the end of the season, and then reach this same goal tally in the next 7 seasons. That's easily achievable. That's easily achievable, because I don't see him slowing down. And to have a City player have the most goals in Premier League history would be amazing, especially with us being bantered for having no history. We'd have a Ballon d'Or winner. We'd have a treble. At the moment, we have the 2nd most Premier League titles out of any club in the Premier League era. And we'd have the Premier League top goal scorer as well. It would be beautiful. It would be beautiful. And a man can only dream. A man can only dream, because, you know, it's not guaranteed that Haaland will, you know, be in this good of form, despite the fact that he's not in good form right now. Like, keep up this goal scoring record at such an insane rate throughout the next 9 years. But if he does, wow, that is a Premier League great. That is an all-time great player right there. And I think he'll even get his hands on a Ballon d'Or. But yeah, you know, is this insane news to see a player sign for 9.5 years at a club? It's crazy. Committing that much of your future to one club, he must be certain that he's going to go down as Manchester City's best ever player, because wow, he really could. He really could. KDB, look to your side. Look at that man in the change room with you. He's coming to take your crown as City's best ever player, because wow, what a player he is, man. But, you know, leave your thoughts on the contract extension in the comments, because what is an insane deal. It really is an insane deal, and I want to know everyone's thoughts on it, because obviously I'm buzzing. But you rival fans, I want to know. I want to know how you feel, because I'd be scared. I would honestly be scared. But yeah, with all that being said, please do like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please leave your thoughts on the thumbnail in the comments down below. I'm really trying to improve my thumbnail game in 2025. You might have seen from my Kusanov video that I put a bit more effort into that one than I do usually, and I've done the same with this video today. So please let me know your thoughts on the thumbnail down below, and obviously subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. With all that being said, I've been Nathan, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Shut down cases, they belly dots to the can't see faces, chasing the bad guy chase it. You don't wanna be the one like Ace and like G-Take trying to turn them out wasted. Aye, tell a bad bitch come break it, body come mad, come shake it, then get back to the basics, bro, done shut down cases, they belly dots to the